Good evening, everyone. It being 6:30 p.m. on Monday, February 12th, 2024, I'll hereby call this regular meeting of the Gardner School Committee to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Mrs. Cormier?
Present.
Mrs. Hurst?
Present.
Mr. Lafreniere?
Present.
Mrs. Layton?
Present.
Mrs. Palavin?
Present.
Mr. Schwartz? He is absent. Mayor Nicholson?
Present.
Dr. Pellegrino?
Present.
And Xavier Rocross? Student rep, present, thank you. All present, except Mr. Schwartz is absent.
Thank you very much. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on our agenda is open time for the general public. Is there anyone here from the general public who wishes to be heard? If there is no objection, because we have a presenter here with us, I'm going to take item number 3482 on the bottom of page 2 out of order, the school improvement plan for Gardner Middle School. And Becky, it's all yours.
Good evening. So I'm here to report on our update on our school improvement plan and our progress. So the first thing I just wanted to review is our 4 strategic objectives, which are up there. I will not read them all. I know that the school improvement plan was sent out to you previously. The first goal, our academic goal. So the first, on the left-hand side of the slide, you can go to the next slide. On the left-hand side of the slide are the activities that we have been doing this year to support that objective. So a lot of our work this year has been focused on data-driven instruction to inform small groups for our RTI, our response to intervention block. We've done a lot of professional development on various topics, included tiered academic supports for all students, formative assessment, creation of rigorous lessons, and critical thinking. And we had altered our schedule slightly to increase the amount of academic time on learning. Some of our opportunities for growth that we feel that we still need to work on, we actually are going to be, we're really kind of excited, I guess is maybe not the best word, but we are looking forward to working with the statewide systems of support, the SSOS team, on strengthening our building leadership team and our common planning time work. I feel like there's an area that we could use some guidance in, and we're looking forward to that. Continued professional development, as well as we are looking into implementing an evidence-based ELA curriculum. We are in the final stages of choosing that curriculum now. As far as our behavioral goal,
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you say you increase the time on learning, what do you mean by that?
So that's a great question. So we used to have 45-minute blocks for our academic classes. We now have 55 minutes. We did shorten. We used to have, I don't remember the exact amount of time of advisory, but we had a tremendous amount of advisory built into the schedule. The teachers felt that the 45-minute blocks was far too short, so we compromised, made sure that we had the best of both. So we had an increased time for academic classes as well as still having some advisory time. So on our behavioral goals, one of the biggest changes this year, and I know this has been across the district, was the MTSS administrator position being added in. With that, we have updated our school-wide expectations matrix, and we now have those posted around the school. We have done a tremendous amount of professional development focusing on PBIS, and we have spent a lot of time weekly on our MTSS meetings and monthly in our admin meetings monitoring data related to discipline and attendance to identify tiered supports that are needed. Opportunities for growth include some continued professional development on our tiered supports, as well as in PBIS, strengthening our PBIS by finalizing our expectations matrix and fine-tuning our CARES cash system. We've had some issues with it this year in terms of switching over to an electronic system, and we're working with students to gain insight into what kind of incentives they would like. So we're going to spend some more time on that. As far as our next goal, the social emotional learning goal, again, the MTSS administrator position was added this year to support this area. We have reviewed and been evaluating our SEL curriculum that we do use during advisory. Right now we're using Character Strong. We have been focusing on implementing the SEL curriculum with fidelity through professional development with our staff. We have, again, continuing to monitor our data to ensure tiered interventions are provided, and strengthening and increasing our skills groups in lunch bunches. Opportunities is we would like to continue to look at our SEL curriculum and ensuring that all topics, especially those related to bullying, are included and addressed. And then finally, collaboration with families and community partners. When we started the school year, we didn't have a very active PTO or parent council, so we've been trying to reestablish that. We did have an administrative meet and greet, I believe that was last week at this point. Again, trying to build that trust with the community now that we have a full administrative staff. Creation of a student advisory group that I meet with monthly to gather feedback and improve school culture. We have worked on having family newsletters to improve communication and more presence on social media. The areas that we want to continue to grow is strengthen our PTO and parent councils. We know that there's still a very small group, and we would like to get more feedback from parents, and continue to focus on our communication and relationships with families. So those are the 4 general strategic objectives that we are addressing this year. What we have done and what we're hoping to do as we move forward. Any questions?
Any questions from the committee?
I was just curious about the diversity of the the student council. My son was in special ed, and he really loved being on the student council, and he gave a different view on certain things. So.
Yeah, so student council, there's actually 2 groups. There's student council, that is open to any student that wants to join it. They spend more time planning activities, PBIS. We do get some feedback from them on our CARES Cash. And then the student advisory group is a more specific, smaller group where I talk to them about some of the, our goals and objectives and get feedback from them. On that, I asked our teachers and our counselors to really try to pick a wide variety of students from each grade to try to make sure that there was some diversity, including special ed. So yeah, it's important to me. That's a really important thing.
Yeah, it didn't always happen that way, and it's nice to see it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving back on to the regular order in our agenda. Item C, the consent agenda. This was included in your packet. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda as presented? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Attorney Plavin, seconded by Mrs. Cormier to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item D, reports of the subcommittees. We'll begin with the Facilities Subcommittee. Attorney Plavin.
The Facilities Subcommittee met on Wednesday, January 24th. We went over all of the different projects that are going on at each school, looking at the numbers of the different projects, and then their breakdown as to what type of projects they are. And then hopefully, I think at the next meeting, we're going to be getting more of a breakdown of the major projects that are happening and where they are in their status. And that was basically it. That took up our entire meeting.
All right. Any questions, comments, concerns from the members of the committee? Seeing none, moving on to the Finance Subcommittee. Mr. Lafreniere.
Right now, I don't have our minutes. You have a copy? Okay. Thank you.
You can always count on Terry.
Yes. Let's see, the Facilities, Finance Subcommittee met on January 24th. The committee reviewed the expense report. General questions were asked and answered on various line items. It was noted that transfers of encumbrances were ongoing for many of the salary lines. This occurs when people are hired and leave and take another position within the district. The committee requested a number of students in various out-of-district placements, as that number was on the rise, which just make quick side note on that, when the out-of-district placements happens, those are things that normally some of them, we're hit with by surprise, so it affects our budget tremendously sometimes. It was noted that out-of-district number in FY '25 budget was trending a lot higher than this year. And the Gardner High School HVAC project is out for bid with anticipated opening of Monday, January 29th. That was it.
All right, any questions, comments, concerns?
I just wanted to clarify the out-of-district placement piece, because some of those students, their parents have an address here, but they were never actually a student here, and that happens a lot too with kids in foster care. So just for people at home who wouldn't know anything like that, it does happen.
Yeah.
And it's not that we're not being effective with what we do.
Any other questions, comments, concerns from the members of the committee? Thank you very much, Mr. Lafreniere. Next item is the policy subcommittee report. Mrs. Hurst.
We met on January 17th, and tonight we went through a lot of stuff. We have 11 for first read, and then we have 10 for second read. For second read, we have GCBA professional staff salary schedule, GCBB employment of principals, GCBB1 employment of administrators, GCBC professional staff supplementary pay plans, GCE professional staff recruiting, positions of vacancies, GFC professional staff hiring, GCG part-time and substitute professional staff employment, GCO evaluation of professional staff, GDB exit interview, GMLP military leave position. I'd like to make a motion to accept these policies as presented in the packet.
If there's no objection, we can go out of order and accept that at this time. If there's a second motion made by Mrs. Hurst, second by Mrs. Ward-Layton to accept those policies in item number 3579 for second and final reading, as she just read them and presented them. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Going back to item E, the Student Advisory Board. Xavier, all yours.
Oh, I wasn't exactly done yet. Oh, all right, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
You're good, I'm good.
All good, I understand.
Brain freeze, sorry.
Go ahead.
Congratulations to our December and January wildcard winners, Jaden Murphy, Liam Willer, Ashley LeBlanc,
Yeah.
Miguel Batista, Haley Davis, Tiana Aho, Tess Hosington, and Jacob Davis. On January 3rd, we held our annual alumni panel and had recent graduates come in and speak with seniors about their experiences with college life. Thank you to the alumni who came in and to Ms. Payne and Ms. Sotino for organizing this event. It was actually, I watched a little bit about it. My friends recorded some videos. It was kind of nice. Our annual early college open house was held at MWCC on January 8th. It was a full house as students and their families heard all about our amazing early college program. A special thanks to Ms. Payne for presenting at this event and to our friends at Mount Wachusett Community College for being such great partners. On January 10th, we held our annual Student Success Assembly. Current juniors and seniors shared their personal experiences with younger students and how they overcame obstacles and were able to make better life decisions and improve their academics. Special thank you to the students who shared their stories, and special thanks to our school counselors for organizing this event. All Town Mobile and Gardner donated $500 to Gardner High School on January 19th. This money will come in handy and will be put towards student activities. A special thanks to All Town Mobile. The student council did their yearly lock-in overnight at the high school and had lots of fun all night with fun activities and a little bit of sleep. Our winter athletic season is in full swing now. Our winter teams are picking up exactly where our fall teams left off with strong seasons. Special thanks to all the students, to all the student athletes and coaches for their hard work and dedication to sports and the school community. Last week was National School Counselor Week, and all our counselors were recognized for their hard work and dedications to our students. That's my piece.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments, concerns from the members of the committee? Good job.
Thank you, Xavier.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 3578, first reading of policies. HA, negotiation goals. HB, negotiation legal status. HF, school committee negotiating agents. IC-ICA, school year, school calendar. IGA, IGD, curriculum development and adoption. IHAMA, parental notification relative to sex education. IHAMB, teaching about alcohol, tobacco, and drugs. IHBAA, observations of special education programs. IHBF, homebound instruction. IHBG-E, notice of intent to pursue a program of home education. IHBHE, remote learning. This is included in your packet for first read and informational purpose only for voting at our next meeting. Is there any questions, comments, concerns on these policies up for first reading this evening? Moving on, we already took care of item number 3579 partially, but Mrs. Hurst, why don't you finish it off?
Pardon me for being overzealous. I just love the program. I figured because it was at the end of my spiel that it was just, I was going to continue. So we have 3 policies up for removal. They've been found to be kind of redundant and not really necessary. And MASC has, sent us the newsletter about things that should be removed. A lot of what it is that language that are in these 3 particular ones can be found in other policies. So we have EEAA, use of video cameras on school buses. IE, organization of instruction. IGE, curriculum guides and course outlines. I'll make a motion that we remove those 3 from our policy manual.
Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Hurst, seconded by Ms. Ward-Layton to remove these policies as presented for the benefit of those who are watching. The MASC is the Massachusetts Association of School Committees, just to get it out. No, it's all good. All right, is any discussion on the motion?
Just quickly, I want to thank the policy subcommittee because this is a lot of work. You guys going through all these policies and everything, getting them corrected.
We have a
worded.
good group of people.
Yeah,
And Kathy's been amazing.
Yeah.
And,
yeah,
we have a lot of good discussion, and I
Yeah.
think we're
awesome. But thank you
we
for all
work
that.
really well. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll put the matter to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item number 3580, Superintendent's Progress Report on Formative Goals. This was included in your packet for information. Dr. Pellegrino.
Just a couple quick things. First off, for district improvement, goal 1 is to reduce academic equity gaps for students who are multilingual or have special needs. We now are breaking down all of our data from just the aggregate and all students down to other groups, specific subgroups. So we've noticed that there are equity gaps at Gardner High School with our Latinx and multiracial students, at Gardner Middle School, our American Indian students, Asian students, and students with IEPs, and at Gardner Elementary School, American Indian students and students with disabilities. The gaps that have been we've been gaining on and reducing some of the gaps at Gardner High School, our students with disabilities and our Asian students. At Gardner Middle School, our multiracial students, our African American students, and at Gardner Elementary School, students with disabilities. In terms of learning, we're now we have a fidelity to we want to have fidelity to our Tier 1 core instruction. And what we've seen is that we're actually now in common planning times. They're designing assessments and they're looking at the data from the assessments. We're just starting to practice that and start using that information to then inform instruction. And we're getting better at that. So I'm pleased with our progress there. And our students K through 4, Reading levels especially in grades 2, 3, and 4, they've almost doubled for our percentages of students who are reading or approaching our benchmark of reading. So we're really pleased with that, which is something that we've struggled with in terms of those upper grades. Our KN1 students are still doing much better than they have in the past. We're doing better than, quite frankly, we ever have in terms of our reading scores. So that's just a quick update.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, moving on to item number 3481, Program of Studies. This was included in the packet for information. Do you have that or not?
No, this is just, the month before, Principal Bulger will come next week, next month. If she comes next week, I think it's a board meeting.
She can talk to the city council. So this was included in your packet for information ahead of next month's meeting. I believe we have to vote on that next month.
Right.
So this is included for advance notice.
Yeah, and the changes are noted, so you can see.
Yes.
Just try to make it as clear as possible.
We have already done item number 3482, the school improvement plan for Gardner Middle School, so we'll move on to item number 3483, the statement of interest form for the Massachusetts School Building Authority for the Gardner Middle School roof. Dr. Pellegrini.
Actually,
Do you
I'll
have
still Franny will do.
a statement of interest? Because that, I don't have any either.
It's a good thing you're next to Terry.
I know. Nope, that's not it. I need the statement of interests. That's the, you can't find it?
No, no.
It's in the packet.
Yeah, I can't
Is it
find
in
it.
order?
It's the top page there.
It's the statement.
Yeah, it's the
Okay,
page.
Thank
all
you.
right, got it, thank you. 3, all right, so yes. I'll read the statement here. Having convened in an open meeting on February 12th, 2024, prior to the SOI submission closing date, the school committee of the City of Gardner, in accordance with this charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent to submit to the Massachusetts Public School Building Authority the statement of interest form dated February 2024 for the Gardner Middle School located at 297 Catherine Street, Gardner, Mass., which describes and explains the following deficiencies in the priority category for which an application may be submitted to the Massachusetts School Building Authority in the future. Priority 5, replacement, renovation, or modernization of school facility systems such as roofs, windows, boilers, heating and ventilation systems to increase energy conservation and decrease energy-related costs in the school facility. The description of the deficiencies. Gardner Middle School opened in 1997. The roof is original to the building and has been maintained as leaks have occurred. However, new leaks continue to occur at an increased pace, and 3 assessments by different outside companies in the past several years have recommended repair or replacement. And hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting this statement of interest form, the Massachusetts School Building Authority in no way guarantees the acceptance or approval of an application, the awarding of a grant, or any other funding commitment from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or commits the city to filing an application for funding with the Massachusetts School Building Authority.
Thank you very much. That resolution is included in your packet. If there's any questions, comments, concerns, this does allow us to begin the process for a grant for a new middle school roof. They have to accept the statement of interest and then invite us into the next step through the Massachusetts School Building Authority. The City Council, at their meeting last week, unanimously voted to endorse the resolution as well. So, Mr. Lafreniere, that's a motion to approve the resolution as presented?
Yes.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Lefreniere, seconded by Attorney Plavin to approve of the resolution as presented and for the submission of the statement of interest. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I have a question. How long is the process?
How long is the process?
So even just submitting the letter of interest, how soon back, do you hear back if you can move to the next step?
Director Hawk, do you have an answer for that one?
Months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a long process.
It's-
In the
yeah.
past, it's been a very long
This is the
process.
first step.
Okay.
Yeah,
There's a lot of steps.
All right.
yeah.
Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll put the matter to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item number 3484, the Gardner Educators Association Unit A Memorandum of Understanding, updated language. Mrs. Hurst.
Want me to- Yeah. I think we submitted this last month to everyone. Essentially, this is if a Unit A teacher substitutes for a teacher that's outside a subject that they regularly don't teach, we will pay them an additional $40 for teaching outside their subject. If they substitute for a teacher during their prep period, they would get $55 for the period. And it also clarified some language for us that just said, you know, if Unit A members are assigned to cover classes for absent teachers during their duty time, there'll be no additional compensation. And we've agreed, you know, to the fact that if they miss common planning time a few times because we're drastically down, this is something that we typically don't use, except in emergency situations where we have way too many staff out. We need to make sure the kids are safe. So this is something we can employ, but we have to recognize that if they miss common planning times, that it will impact the amount of expectations that we really should have. So we're just going to be reasonable about that.
Are there any questions, comments, concerns on the?
Yeah, I'm super confused about the first two paragraphs. Unit A teachers who are required to substitute for a full day teaching
Yeah,
receive $40 for the entire day.
an additional $40 for the day.
Okay, but Unit A members who are covering a class during just one prep period get $50 for each instance.
Correct.
So I guess
So,
yeah.
what happens is, so this only really happens at the middle school. We really can't do it at any other school.
Yeah.
And what they do is, they're teaching a teacher's schedule still, so they don't have any additional duties, but they're teaching outside of their normal subject area. So for example, a gym teacher might be teaching English for the day. So they'll still have a prep,
I got you.
and
Okay.
they'll have a duty period. So their days
Gotcha.
normal, other than the fact that teaching outside their regular thing.
Gotcha.
If, however, I say, if you're a teacher for us, and I say, Shannon, you know, I need you to teach during your prep period, then you're giving up that period that's designed for you to prepare for your classes, so we would pay that teacher because they're working something additional.
Gotcha. All right, it makes sense now. I was confused. I was like, wait, hold on. These teachers are teaching their subject, and then they're teaching. And okay, now I understand. Now it makes sense. Thank you for talking that through with me.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Move to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Attorney Plavin, second by Mrs. Ward Layton, to accept the memorandum of understanding as presented. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item number 3485, the 2024-2025 school choice acceptance vote. Dr. Pellegrino.
Yep, so this is just something that we do annually to accept the fact that we'll have school choice for next year.
Move to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Attorney Plavin, second by Mrs. Cormier, to accept the school choice for next year as it's presented in your packet. Is there any discussion on the motion?
This doesn't mean we have to accept in every grade, we specify the grades.
And if we weren't gonna do this, it's a whole other process.
Yes, yes. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item number 3486, the 2024-2025 school committee schedule of meetings. This was included in your packet for information and is up for a vote to set the schedule for the next school year's list of meetings. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to accept.
Second.
Motion made by Attorney Plavin, second by Mrs. Hurst, to accept the calendar as presented. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item number 3487, the 2024-2025 annual school calendar. Who would like to- Dr. Gogan?
Yep, I can pull that up. I think you all have copies, right?
Yes. The options were included in your packet for information.
Yeah. Do you
So
want me-
each year, we send out a survey to our staff and our families and ask them to choose between a couple of different options for the school calendar for the following year. This year, we presented two different options. One was a start date for students prior to Labor Day weekend, and the second option was a start date for students after Labor Day, the Tuesday after. So in option one, staff would return to school for 4 days of professional development on August 22nd. And students would begin school on Wednesday, August 20, I have to put my glasses on. August 28th. And then the last day of school for students would be June 11th, barring any snow days. The second option, teachers would come back on Monday, the 26th of August. Students would return on Tuesday, September 3rd. And then the last day of school for students would be June 13th, which is a Friday, without any snow days. So this year, we had 55% roughly of our respondents were parents, about 37% were staff members, and about 9% identified as both a staff and a parent. Our highest number of respondents was from the elementary school, with Gardner High School being second, the middle school being third, and then of course Gardner Academy only has 11 staff members, so, and they have a very small student body, so they had the least number of respondents. In total, there were 484 responses, and option one received 27% of the vote, and option two, with the later start date, received 73% of the vote. And so that is the information that we have. I do have the actual calendars, so if you have any specific questions about calendar dates, you can answer those.
Move to accept option two.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Attorney Plavin, second by Mr. Lafreniere, to accept option two for the calendar. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll put the matter to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item number 3488, the College and Career Readiness Coordinator update. This was included in your packet for information. Is there any questions, comments, concerns from the members of the committee? Moving on to item number 3489, Curriculum Coordinator update. This was included in your packet for information. Is there any questions, comments, concerns from the members of the committee? Moving on to item number 3490, Director of School Health Services update. This was included in your packet for information. Is there any discussion on the item? Item number 3491, the English Language Learners Coordinator update. This was included in your packet for information. Is there any discussion on this item? Item number 3492, Grant Administrators update. This was included in your packet for information. Is there any discussion on this item? Item number 3493, the Special Education update. This was included in your packet for information. Is there any questions, comments, concerns on this item?
I just had, I guess, a question or comment about the IEPs and that, the change in the forms that are happening. So just to clarify, that's obviously being done by the state. And so then, I think from what this says is that through Power School, that then will the parents be able to access it as well through Power School once the IEP is in there? Do we know that at this point?
I don't know that answer. I can get back to you about that, though. It's a great question. I do believe that's one of the reasons we went with Power School, but I don't want to misspeak.
I know there's other districts that have implemented it with the old form still, and you can sign the IEPs and review them through it, but I don't know with the new form, I'm not sure how that is working yet, and I haven't actually dealt with the new form IEP anywhere yet, so.
I think it's one of the reasons we wanted to go with the Power School one and make the move, because it does shift things for us and there's a lot of work. So I think for her to choose that, I think it would be more, make it more transparent. So I know that was one of the reasons we went with it, was that it would be more transparent.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? Item number 3494, the Special Education Parents Advisory Council update. This was included in your packet for information. Mrs. Hurst.
They're holding their meeting this week on Thursday by Zoom. They're planning to do some elections for open positions. And they're in the process of trying to create a survey. And they have a meeting with Ms. West and Dr. Pellegrino. And they're looking forward to working together to create a survey that fits everyone's needs. I got an email today from one of the CPAC members who is hoping that she'll be voted in as vice chair for the CPAC, and I just wanted to share it because I just wanted to share it. We're working on important foundational basics right now behind the scenes, as well as getting a feel for where our special education students are and what their needs and successes are. We're working on building the relationships with the district, and as the others stated, the survey. But in the meantime, we're going to go over last year's results at an upcoming meeting in way of some foundational issues that resulted that I better unchanged. So we'll go over, they're going to go over that. She attended the SOA parent group, and it was great to be able to review data. She's also part of the MTSS Parent and Community Engagement Working Group, and that's a wonderful opportunity, as well as both events highlight where students with disabilities are struggling. Her plan for CPAC in particular, I'm looking to be elected to co-chair this week, so I can bring my knowledge and positive energy to the CPAC and build and foster positive relationships between the district, the PAC, and the parents. I'll also be able to attend more things representing the CPAC as I have more availability. We're working on increasing involvement through adding meeting agendas to flyers. We're working on branding, getting our Facebook page back up and running, and a one page to quickly advertise who we are and what we do and why parents should get involved. To me, it sounded like they really have a lot of good things going on. The three women that are doing this, I could not thank them enough for stepping up and doing this, but the biggest thing for me is that they want so much to collaborate and do, be part of, the district and not work against anybody. And they have a really good outlook, and I'm having a really good time working with them. So that's that.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, moving on to item G, communications from the superintendent. Dr. Pellegrino.
Yes, just a couple quick things. First, I believe you were handed a letter that's going out to the community just every 6 years or so. Every district goes through a comprehensive review. I've mentioned this a few times. This letter is going out to the community to let them know we are going through this comprehensive review. The reviewers are coming out the week after February break. They'll be touring classrooms, talking with teachers, talking with students, talking with parents, and doing all these things that week. So I just wanted to give people, everyone here, a heads up that that's when it's happening. Secondly, the SOA meeting that we had last week went very well. There were about 30 people there, and there's a pretty good divide between the number of staff and the number of parents. Great input. I think people got a lot out of it, and we got a lot of wonderful feedback from our parents and from our staff. So it was a great turnout, and I was thrilled with that. Finally, as a weather forecaster, right now it's up in the air, so there is school tomorrow. So plan to go to school, Xavier. Homework will be due. So yeah, it seems like this storm shifted crazily in the last 4 hours. So yeah, I expect to get very little snow so far.
All right, any questions, comments, concerns? Moving on to item H, final comments from the members of the school committee. Oh, did you? Yeah. Oh.
He said the Mount canceled his classes already.
Oh yeah, the Mount did cancel.
Yeah, the
yes.
Mount's different though.
Fitchburg and Sizer canceled, just say.
Yeah.
It's okay, no pressure.
Depends on what weather app you're looking at.
That is true.
Item H, final comments of the school committee. Ms. Ward-Layton.
I just, we had a very big packet this week, and, but I really wanted to thank Joyce and Courtney and Kathy and the principals and the subcommittees and Dr. Pellegrino. It's sometimes like when I see the size of the packet, I'm like, oh my gosh, but then I get to the end of it, I'm like, wow, I feel like I know so much more, and there's more connection, and so just thank you for the details, because I think as a teacher, as a parent, and as a member of this committee, it's just kind of like it keeps us all connected when we're only seeing each other once a month, or even when we have like last month where it was just an organizational meeting. So just thank you everyone for the details. It's very helpful, even when it is 279 pages long. Was that? 240, I'm so sorry, 240. But, and the program of studies, I think it's just the teacher nerd in me. I love reading through it, and I like the handwritten notes. I think that's much easier to deal with. So thank you for all the information, and stay safe if the snow piles up.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Hurst. Thank you very much, Attorney Plavin.
Just to build on that too, I think when you see how big the packets are, you realize how much that is done outside of this meeting. We do a lot of the subcommittee meetings where we deal with a lot of the nitty-gritty pieces. And then obviously come here and we get more of the overview through the different positions, the administrators and that, and their reports. And there's a lot of communication that's happening all the time. Yeah, and I'm hoping for no snow for tomorrow, so. Thank you.
Thank you. Xavier, anything you'd like to add? All right. Mr. LaFreniere.
He wants you to reconsider the call for snow, so, nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Cormier.
I went to the SOA meeting last week, and I just want to thank everybody, the administrators in the district, for putting that on. I was fortunate to be in a focus group of parents, a new city councilor, a high school teacher, and myself, and we went through a lot of the data that we all see on a regular basis, but it was nice to be able to digest that with other people who maybe aren't as familiar with it and have those discussions. And I thought it was a very positive experience. I really enjoyed that. So thank you for putting that on. And hopefully you're able to use that feedback to put together more information for that. And also just on a city level, I think everybody is aware, but we did lose one of our long-standing city councilors about 2 weeks ago, Ron Cormier. Contrary to popular belief, we were not related, but I was very fortunate to have him as a close friend. He was an educator himself. He did a lot for this city, and I just think we need to keep his family in our prayers and thoughts and be thankful for what he did.
Thank you. I too would just want to extend my condolences, and on behalf of all of us, to Councilor Ron Cormier's family, who also just recently served on the new school building committee for us too, with the new elementary school. Certainly a big hole to fill in the city. We've already been beginning ways to talk about the student government program and see how that'll continue forward, because that was Councilor Cormier's brainchild, if you will, in the end. And he ran with that every year for several years. Councilor-elect Brad Heglin will be sworn in at next week's city council meeting, from what I'm hearing from Council President Kaczynskis. So we'll have a full city council after that, at that point. I just wanted to, I guess, first off, thank the committee for putting up with me with saying a few things wrong. I'm recovering from a minor jaw injury, so it was a little difficult to get through a lot of the policy names at first, but thank you, Mrs. Hurst, for reading half of them. I really actually appreciated that. And to let you all know too, the city has been awarded a $230,000 grant from the federal government's Department of Transportation, known as the Safe Streets and Roads for All program, not to be confused with the Safe Route to School grant that will begin work by Gardner Academy next year. But this project and program that the federal Department of Transportation is overseeing through this program is creating what's called a Vision Zero plan for the citywide. And so basically we'll have to set up a committee to review how we can make Gardner's roads safer on a citywide basis, and we do need representative from the schools as part of that committee, so we'll be reaching out at some point in time to work with our consultants with the federal government to draft a full road safety plan and road improvement plan for the city in accordance with the program. And then the Rockwell City Hall will be open tomorrow. And the Rockwell Committee is set to be meeting tomorrow to vote on the applications for this year's round of funding. We have about $100,000 that we can give out in grant funding this year from the Williams Rockwell Educational Gift Fund. So looking forward to seeing the good that funding can have as we move forward to the future. And with that, we have no executive sessions this evening, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Lafreniere, seconded by Attorney Plavin to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you all very much.